our 6-week series of Coast to Coast Christmas cards. Some of us demonstrators got together to provide this card series with you, or for you, and today's this week's two cards are this adorable gingerbread girl and a fun fold. We use just a select amount of products for all 6 cards. That way, if you want to make along with us, that you can, and you don't need to break the bank in order to get the goodies. Of course, please use what's in your stash and use the designs as inspiration. All right, let's get started on week 1 of our 6 weeks Coast to Coast Christmas card series. I am so excited to show you how to make a gingerbread girl out of the gingerbread man dies on this. Sugar and spice and everything nice. That's what little girls are made of. Let's get started making this cute rendition of our gingerbread girl. I'm going to start out with a piece of real red cardstock cut at 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded in half to form the card base. Next, we'll take a 5 1/4 by 4 piece of the Christmas Tags and More 6x6 mix and match specialty designer series paper. It's a mouthful, but what this simply means is that you're going to get 6x6 designer paper in it, as well as some punch out elements here. So you kind of have punch out ephemeras that you have along with the designer series paper. So it's a mouthful, but this is what this does. So let's just go ahead and we'll glue that onto the card front. So this is what's nice with the Tags and More part of it, because you can, one side of it you can separate out for some super easy layering of some tags. But we'll put that down. Next, what we're gonna have is a piece of Whisper White cardstock embossed. And this is 4 3/4 by 3.5. Let me just double check that. Yes, 4 3/4 by 3.5. And I use the damask embossing folder to emboss that. And that's just going to be another layer that we'll put just right down onto our card base. We'll get that down. All right. Next, let's make the gingerbread girl. So with the gingerbread man dies, it's a huge die that you have. So it's almost a card front in and of itself. So I ran approximately a 8.5 by 5.5 piece of pecan pie through, and ahead of time, I used the outline of the gingerbread man here with Early Espresso ink and just stamped the one side. I did that ahead of time just to save some time. With our paper snips, we're just going to cut along the curve of this, of one of his arms, or I should say her arms. So even though like it's gonna automatically have a score line that it puts on it, but if you want, you can cut just around the outer edge just to round that up. But we're going to put the candy cane over top of it anyways. And don't get rid of this because we can use that some other time. And then here's the basis of our gingerbread. In the stamp set, we have 3 different eye options. So you can have a smiley face like this. You can make him wink, actually 4. You can have it like an oh no, and then this one looks like it has little eyelashes, so this is the one that I chose to use for the girl. And so let's get the ones with the eyelashes, and we'll get our Early Espresso ink. So continuing with Early Espresso ink, just like we did on the outline, we're going to stamp our little girl face. Now, we don't want to go up too high because we want to leave room to put the bow in the corner. So we'll get our eyeballs here. And so there we go, just that cute. Look how adorable it is already. with Pretty in Pink and a sponge dauber, I want to go ahead and daub here. Oh, but first what we can do is these two dots that are under where the wink shape is, those are for cheeks. So when we open this up like this, let's see here. Oh, here we go. Here's the cheeks. A lot of little double dots floating around there. And so let's go ahead and we'll ink up that with Pretty in Pink and kind of get a basis of her cheeks, and it kind of goes right underneath her eyes. Kind of line it up with her mouth if you want to. And that's just going to give a little impression of where to put the other cheek part of it. I've got my sponge dauber and Pretty in Pink, and I want this pretty light. So I'm going to kind of stamp off, and I'm just going to come in here over that dot and kind of give the little cheeks a little more color. So just as much as what you want on it. Cute. And now I'm going to take a white gel pen and make some accents. So I'll have the link down below on where I get this on Amazon. And we just want to make little triangles. So I'm going to make 1, 2, 3. It just kind of gives her a little highlight on her upper cheek. And then we're going to do the same thing on her eyes. And it always looks better when you make the eyes a little cross-eyed versus just staring straight on. Next, we're going to take a 2.5 by 3 piece of real red, and ahead of time I ran it through the same embossing folder. And we're going to mark this at 3/4 of an inch in both directions, and I'll use the white gel pen so that you can see that. So again, this is 3. I've got it embossed ahead of time, but quite honestly, you may want to cut first and then emboss, because we might get a little ragged edges here. And then we'll go in 3/4 from both ways. Okay, and we'll get our trimmer, and we're going to do some easy angle cuts using the corner as our guide and our dot as a guide. So we'll line up along the track. Okay, and along the track. So from dot to down below. Okay. And this is why I said, like, you get a little ragged edge here, but we can just smooth that out here in a little bit. Okay, and then if you want, you can use a rounder corner to do just that. Kind of round that off just a little bit. This is retired from stamping that. All right, so this is coming in. Let me kind of show you where this is going. So there's her little dress. Now we want to make a little scoop out neckline. So just take a circle punch, any circle punch that is the shape that you'd like. I'm using the 1 7/8 circle punch. And we're just gonna kind of put that up in here, and you can just go, whoops, see how you can kind of go until those lines meet on the arch of your circle. And punch. And now we just kind of scooped out her neckline a little bit. Okay, so that's how her little dress is. So cute. She's so cute. All right, let's go ahead, and I'm gonna actually glue it down. Let me get this rough edges off here. Again, I would do this first. For the sake of the video, I wanted to have it already embossed, but do your cutting first and then run her dress through an embossing folder if you want to give it a little pattern. And then just as high up as what you want. And actually, if you want to, you can trim off a little bit of these flyaways on here. We can kind of like square off the shoulders. It's just a little paper doll. You know, you can do with how you'd like to do it. You can keep the punch, or you can just take a little snip. Okay, let's get some rickrack on her. We're going to need 3 pieces of the rickrack. This is again from our Gingerbread Man dies. I'm going to turn them upside down here. And I've got a sponge dauber that I've dedicated to just use with my glue. Okay, so kind of get a little bit of that, and then I just pounce, 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 pounce. Oops, pounce. Okay, that should be good. And let's go ahead and do the bottom section first. So I just start on one end and just kind of line it up with the edge. And as you can see here that it's not enough to go all the way. So on the second one, just kind of find like the groove and put that down. And then we'll take our scissors and just trim off the extra. You can kind of play around with that just a little bit here. Let me do so. Okay. So it's not a perfect, but it's like perfect enough, right? And now to do the collar here, you're like, Dee, this is straight. How do we do it? We are going to bend it. So we're just going to kind of start up here on one shoulder and then just kind of follow along the collar of the dress and just kind of hold it in place as you bend it. Oops, I want it to go up a little higher. So it's just, you know, paper. We're going to curve it a little bit and just kind of keep curving it. Have it up here. I'm going to hold it in place just for a hot moment. And then trim. All right, we're ready to really go to town. Next, let's put together her bow. I'm using Real Red again. Just going to put a little bit of glue. It's getting kind of cloggy. There we go. Right there. And it's gonna connect. Let that set for just a second. And put that over. And mini glue dot would work best. A mini glue dot, I meant to say a mini dimensional. And we'll put that right here. And that's gonna go up on her corner of our little gingerbread girl hair. Head up here. And actually, if you wanted to, you probably almost cut that in half. I'm going to kind of squish it a little bit so it doesn't show. And I'll just kind of put that up here in the corner. I'm going to take my take your pick tool and I'm going to kind of hide some of that dimensional. There we go. All right, she's ready to go on the card front. And let's go ahead and I want her nice and supported, so we're going to put plenty of dimensionals here. She's going to go right into the center of our white. And the last thing that we're going to put from die cut wise, whoops, she's a little crooked. And let's get our silicone mat back out. And I'm going to, with the Real Red and Basic White, I've got some more, got the little candy cane. Just put enough on it to kind of make it sticky. I'm gonna do that. So many cute elements on this bundle. And then let's get a dimensional or a mini dimensional. And we'll put it right here on her hand. And then she's gonna hold the candy cane. Then we're gonna take our sequins and we're going to decorate her dress. So since we already have the red on the dress, I used the other 3 colors in our sequins and just alternated those. So let's go ahead and do that. So, and I'm just using these little ones. So, and I'm just using this very forgivingly up around the corner of her collar. Now it's gonna go in between the rickrack. And then do the same thing here at the bottom. So in the inside curves, you can put the sequins. I think it just makes her look extra festive to put those all the way through. I love these sequins. They're flat. It'll allow us to mail things so easily. Whoops, and green. And one more. Adorable. So on this one I did early espresso, and on this one I did pecan pie. I think the tutorial says pecan pie, but you can so use either one of those. Okay, so let's do some stamping on the inside. With Real Red ink and our sugar and spice and everything nice stamp, we'll go ahead and stamp that up here towards the top a little bit. Sugar, spice, and everything nice. And then we'll take our strip of designer paper that we have cut at 3/4 by 4. And put that down here at the bottom. And we'll glue that to the inside of our card base. And here I'm putting the larger of the green. So let's get the large green. Put whatever color that you'd like. And we're done. And that's our first card. Oh, we've got to put her bling on the top of here. So let's go ahead and I think I used the medium sequence for the bow here. Tuck that in. And she's done. Most adorable little gingerbread girl ever. All right, this is our first card of week 1. Please keep watching for our second card. Our second card is this card here. Features the Modern Christmas designer paper and a little gold embossing powder, as well as using the Ornamental Christmas bundle. I love these wide open ones. You can make so many cute, beautiful cards and tags that have nice large sentiments and images on it. So it's a fun Christmas stamp set on it. Okay, the materials to make this card. Got basic black as the card base, and this is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 2 3/4 and 7. For the inside, oops, little sneak peek there. We're gonna need a piece of basic white, 5 1/4 by 4. A piece of basic white that's 2 by 3. Gold foil. This is 5 1/4 by 2.5, 5 1/4 by 1 1/4, and 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. Right, let's go ahead and we'll get the card put together. So what we'll do here is we're going to fold along the score lines to create our card base. And let's get our bone folder and I'm really kind of pushing towards the center. On that, it really helps it lay nice and flat. And let's go ahead and use some liquid glue. We're going to put the larger gold foil piece here on our right hand side. And then put our 1 1/4 inch wide gold foil on the other. This is definitely a fancy card with all of the gold foil. I love it. All right, let's get our modern Christmas designer paper put down. It is definitely modern. If you've seen the home decor stuff, Stampin' Up's paper is right on trend. Again, this is this designer paper is 5 by 2 1/4, and we'll put the 1 by 5 inch strip here over on the right hand side. It's a fun fold that's not too complicated, but yet really fun to make and receive. Ahead of time, what I did is I've stamped the tree, well, I've stamped all of these in Versamark and then used the gold embossing powder on them. And so I've just done that ahead of time off camera. And so I did the tree image with Versamark and then the gold embossing powder, heat embossed it, and used the die cut to die cut out the tree image. Stamped the Merry Christmas sentiment in the middle of the inside of our card. And then on the 2 by 3, did the Versamark gold embossing powder and the heat tool to heat set the 'Tis the Season that will go on the outside. All right, let's go ahead and do the layering here. So this is the 2 by 3 white cardstock onto the, oops, I've got to trim this down. This is what you can do if you miscut. Just do that and then come back and trim. I'll do that off camera. So this was 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. And I like to put this right in the center. And then we're just going to glue down just the left-hand side only. So on the back left, put a little adhesive. And we'll come in and center it on the card front. Let's go ahead and we'll glue the inside. Such a pretty font. The ornamental Christmas fonts on this stamp set are gorgeous. They're elegant. I love the swirliness of it. The font is everything. And that just is going to go into our center panel on the inside. I am going to pop up the tree. And if you wanted to, you could move the sentiment over just a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and put the tree so it's right here. And we are going to use our Stampin' Dimensionals to put that on. Whoops, missed that one. Not going to have much pop-up if it's just the, the label. There we go. And let's see where that is. And then it's, for the way this one's placed, I need it on the back left or the back right side. So I'll put it on the left side when it's reversed. And we'll get those backings off of it. And we'll put that right here. This is why I put this down flat, because the tree was going to be popped up. When you do this kind of a fold, it's almost inevitable that this pops up a little bit. And when they get the card, they'll have it, you know, standing up like this anyways. But I do like to put a little Velcro dot on there just to keep it secure. So let's go ahead and do that. This is totally optional. I'll have a link there where the ones that I use from Amazon. So I just kind of get one first here. Doesn't matter if you which side you have, but you get the sticky side up here. And put it about right here. And then we'll get the opposite one. And put that upside down so the sticky side is shown. And then we're going to close it and let that rest just for a little bit. And while it does that, let's get our traditional sparkling sequins. And we're going to use all of these pretty gold ones for this. So let's use a large one. And this is where you can use it to kind of fill in around the outside sentiment. And let's save those. Okay, let's open this up. And then that sticks down on that side. And then I'm gonna kind of just frame our Merry Christmas. And if you wanted to, you can add more gems here. But that's it. That's our second card of week 1. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching and happy crafting. Bye-bye.